Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of February. I hope you are well. I'm using what am I using here? The Night Sun Tarot for you today. A bit of housekeeping before we begin. If the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to the 6-month overviews that I did for each of the signs. They run obviously from January to June. So if you are interested in finding out what that 6-month period holds for you, please do feel free to check that out. And the final link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. You can catch all of the extended content over there and also meet an incredible set of people. So if that sounds something you would like to do, please do feel free to check that out. Right, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. I did a meditation before I started recording, which is what I do every single time I do things, and there was a very specific message that came through. But let me get the cards out on the table first, and then I'll tell you what that was. So, what's going on with Taurus? Have recent past for Taurus, please. Thank you. We have King of Wands. Ooh, that's a strong start. What about current energy for Taurus? 9 of Cups. Outstanding. And what's coming towards Taurus, please, for February? Thank you. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Well, this is all looking pretty shiny. We've got the 5 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, and I want to hang off saying anything about those until I've pulled out the clarifier. Those 5 cups, that is. Until I've pulled out the clarifiers. And then we'll get into this. So, tell me about the King of Wands, please. Thank you. We have the 2 of Wands. We have the Ace of Swords. Oh, let me flip this around so you can see what I'm looking at. We've got the Ace of Swords, and we also have Judgment. I like this very much. Tell me about the 9 of Cups. We have the Queen of Cups. I feel like putting her that way around. And, whoa, shit. Let's try that again. Tell me about this 9 of Cups, please. 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh, fancy. Right. Ace of Pentacles, please. For Taurus. That one kind of staggered out. We've got the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. Interesting. So, yeah, I feel like I was correct in hanging out for the rest of the cards to come up, because we've got a transition going on here for sure. And it's emotional in nature, but it seems to be touching everything. I mean, we've got a really good spread of cards here, elementally speaking. We've got earth, we've got water, we've got air, and we've got fire too, which is tremendous. I really, really like that. But what we've got is this transition from 5 of Cups to 10 of Cups. God, that's not straight at all. Sorry, I'm just going to fiddle with these until they look straight to you. It means they're wonky on my table, but I'll just deal with it, right? Transitioning from the 5 of Cups to the 10 in the first instance, and I feel like we'll get more into this in the extended, is this sense of you having been focused for such a long time on what it is that you have lost, right? And that desperate need to reclaim what has been lost from you in the past. And that can be people, situations. It could be your sense of power over a situation. It could be your confidence. It could be all of these sorts of things, right? And kind of really fixating on what has been lost. Moving towards this idea of how much can be gained. I really see you getting into a very positive mindset about what the future could hold for you moving forwards. This is, the 10 of Cups is the happy family card, but ultimately it's being in one's tribe, right? It's everybody turning up in a 9 of Cups frame of mind, and we have that here on the table. Like the 10 of Cups is the collective energy. It's about finding your people, and that to a Taurus would be so important. But there are some other levels to it too, and we'll talk about those when we get to the 9 of Cups. Because what I want to do is start off over here. We've got this King of Wands, right? This Leo energy making a really strong appearance right from the offering. And this is the masculine expression of the Wands suit. It deals with living an experience. It's quite in the moment. It's what's happening here and now, right? But when the King of Wands comes along, it's slightly different to the rest of the suit. We've got wisdom and maturity and experience that is guiding the actions of the King of Wands. So he doesn't waste any energy on anything, right? I would like to think that's quite a Taurian thing to do too. Whereas the Knight of Wands kind of flits about and he goes, often chasing the hedonism or whatever it is that he's doing, right? But he certainly doesn't stay in one place long. He's got that incredible vigour of youth, and he's bouncing from one thing to another. The King of Wands is much more stable, much more disciplined, and able to see a little further into the future than the Knight of Wands. So what we've got here, it feels to me, is a culmination of all of your Taurian energy, all of your positive attributes kind of coming together and being like, now what do we do? What can we do? And the sense that things have started moving. Now, I don't know about you, but I found Mercury retrograde clashing as it did with Mars going retrograde also. Now, I was fine with Mars being in retrograde for a while, and then I was fine with Mercury being in retrograde for a while. But that last 5, 6, 7 days where they were both retrograding was like trying to wade through thigh-high mud. It was really uncomfortable, and everybody kind of was held still. Everybody, that's the energy of the retrograde. You don't move forwards. You have to contemplate all of these things, and there was a lot of work done around core values and goals and things that we wanted to work towards. This here now feels like you've been released from that energy, and there's an increasing level of creativity that's starting to flow through you now, Taurus. But additionally, there's more motivation to do things than you have experienced for quite some time, right? Now, like I said, the Taurian aspects of you, which also, kind of correspond quite nicely with what we see in the King of Wands as an expression of energy, is starting to do more. But turn your face towards where you can go from here. I mean, I feel like this is a theme that's going to be coming through, right the way through the reading for you. It's like, where do I go from here? What can I do from here? And there's something quite sparky about your energy at the moment. And I think it's really related to this transitional state that you find yourself in. But I mean, like I said, we'll get into that. So we've got 2 cards here. We've got the Two of Wands and the Judgment card, which can both talk to the decision-making process. Now, the Two of Wands is an order of magnitude smaller than the energy of the Judgment card because it's minor arcana. It's the things that we do in the day-to-day. But nevertheless, there's something... It's not dreamy. This is the thing. If there'd been more water around this card, I might have said you were daydreaming about what it was that you could do. But this feels quite set and physical and determined. We're bringing in changes. But it seems to me like every step along the way, it's almost like you've acknowledged that everything that you do on a day-to-day basis actually holds within it a crossroads. I talked about this with some other signs. It might have even been you last month. This notion that the crossroads isn't always, we're standing at a T-junction and there's that way and there's that way and they're the extremes. Sometimes it's about modifying the actions that we take on the day-to-day basis 100 times a day. So whether you choose to reach for that packet of biscuits or whether you open the laptop and stare at it, whether you pick up your phone and, stare mindlessly at social media for an hour, or whether you find things that make you feel like you're alive, a little bit more of that. This is this sparky energy that I'm feeling, and that realization that each one of these decisions every day moves you closer to your goal is something that I think sits very, very nicely with you. Because we've got this Ace of Swords, it's almost like an epiphany, but I don't feel like it's come in as a a sword through the brain kind of level of epiphany, where suddenly lots and lots of things make sense. It's like every time you do a thing, something more makes sense. There's a little epiphany that is associated with that. And they just keep coming and coming and coming. And it's like you've rediscovered the wonder of being alive, is actually how it feels to me. There's been such a, and this is the thing, this running under the surface, excitement is returning to your life, and it's the excitement of the new. It feels like you are choosing consciously to just push yourself a little bit more each day, like just towards your comfort zone, like the edges of your comfort zone, out a little bit more and out a little bit more. Right? And what does this mean? I'm going out a little bit more too. Again, it's like a series of tiny epiphanies, and what they're doing is they're confirming to you that the intuitive way that you are moving forwards is right. Now, if this had been the King of Swords, for example, we might have said that you were thinking things through, and you were forming those judgments on that basis of everything that you'd thought about. But this sparky energy of the King of Wands, this doing energy, this putting yourself out there energy, is less cerebral. It's coming from the heart, actually. I know the King of Cups is the one that we most associate with the heart, but the King of Wands is Leo, and Leo rules the heart. It isn't just about feeling, it's about feeling the pull, feeling the direction, and having the corresponding energy to be able to respond to that. One of the reasons why as we get older it feels like time is speeding up, according to science at least, is because of the number of heuristics that we apply to our life. And as we get older, we have more of these heuristics available because obviously we've had more life experience. So a heuristic is a shortcut that your brain takes, where it doesn't necessarily fully engage with the task in front of you. It goes, oh well, I've done this before, I know exactly how to do this. It kind of switches on autopilot. And the thing, I think, with most people, once they get to a certain age and life responsibilities come in the way, whether it's, you're dealing with children, or, you're running your house, or you're going to work, or all that sort of thing, right? There are shortcuts that your brain takes. There are increasing numbers or increasing amounts of time that you spend effectively on autopilot, and particularly if you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of brain effort at all. I'm sure this is how I sometimes lose a week at a time when I'm doing housework or sorting things out, and it's just because I'm not really there. I'm just doing the thing. When you're young and everything is new, that novelty has you engaging with your full brain, as full as we can engage with it at any given point, all the time. Because here's a new thing that you've got to learn about, and here's a new experience, and here's another one, right? What feels to me is that you're getting the excitement of life back, to the extent that you are now fully engaging with it. There's been a considerable reduction in the amount of things that you are doing on autopilot. And I'm feeling an almost something slightly gleeful about the way that you're approaching it. Now, this Judgment card is a huge fucking energy. Because one of the things that I've been saying about the Two of Wands, if you consider it to be those tiny decisions that we make every day, and the way that they build up over time, rather than being a stark choice between one direction and another, is that eventually this will take you somewhere entirely different. Because you feel to me like you've woken up, or some aspect of you has woken up, and it is now choosing to engage consciously with everything, and correspondingly there is new information that is coming through to you. It's taking you to a place where you are going to change everything. You are changing your life. It could be that for some of you, you've been doing some considerable work on changing the narrative that you have worked under for quite a long time, you know, one where you have felt like perhaps you were being punished, or one definitely where you thought you weren't good enough, you know, self-esteem issues and whatnot, but overly focused on the past, right? And bringing that overly focused mindset from the past into the future. So, you know, there we are employing the heuristics. So it's kind of like, oh, well, I know what the situation is, so I should just prepare to feel like shit. I hope that I don't, but I will prepare to feel like shit. And eventually, at some point, that comes to pass. But the shift of focus from the 5 of Cups to the 10, not what you have lost, but how you can really achieve everything, right? When you can hit that point of intense emotional fulfillment, and not just for you. Because I think there always has to be a collective element to it when we're dealing with Taurus, right? It's putting you in a frame of mind that is changing your direction altogether. And what I like about this is it feels like the effect of all of these cards together is something somewhat like the Tower, except without the terrifying, you know, unexpected element of it. Because you are opening your mind and opening your heart to the unexpected, the new, there's been huge growth here. You're showing yourself on a daily basis just how strong you have become, how resilient you have become. You know, I often talk about, you know, when we do any kind of work on ourselves, you know, we have massive breakthroughs and all that sort of thing. What we are not doing at any point is minimizing our problems. What we are not doing at any point is making sure that we live the perfect life hereafter, because that's unreasonable. That just doesn't happen. What we're doing is making ourselves bigger, so that whatever comes along, we know, we can be confident that we can deal with whatever it is. And that's a very different mindset to the one that you've had, right? The Taurus, if you think back, that was desperately trying to control their environment, right? And trying to keep their external environment exactly as they liked it, has been replaced with a Taurus that is carrying around that kind of security and stability that they have craved their entire life in here. And that feels highly spiritual to me for you. But more than that, it's going to have an effect on your external environment. And you're letting it, which couldn't be more impressive if you tried, frankly, Taurus. I'm very, very proud of you. So we've got this 9 of Cups here. Okay. Here's your current energy. It is very much focused on what you need to do to make you happy. Not what you need to reclaim so that you don't feel so lost and abandoned and isolated and grief-stricken, but what you can claim for yourself. I mean, notice that we've got this little cherub fetus in the middle of this. This is new territory for you. Because emotionally you are being reborn. Maybe the rebirth has already happened, actually. We're back to this idea of kind of experiencing things as a child, where everything is new and it's got some novelty to it, such that you need to engage with it to work out what it is, you know, work out the way that you can fit it into your brain. We've got the Queen of Cups here, Cancer, and the 2 of Pentacles, and this is profound. Because it's you, this is profound. Because the 2 of Pentacles is making a show of coping. I think that way around. I don't know if some of you know, but, well, if all of you know, but some of the cards in the Waite Smith have been painted as if to show a stage. Now, Pamela Coleman Smith was a set designer, and she did this with quite a few of the cards. There's this staged aspect to it here. And the backdrops that she used to design, you know, we've got that sense of it in there. Now, we've got this emotional roller coaster going on in the background here, and we've got somebody who's trying to juggle things within this lemniscate, right? And he looks kind of stricken by it. It's like, this is hard, and I've got to put one leg up in the air as well for some reason. You know, there's almost like a performative aspect to this, Taurus. And it's this performance of coping, this performance of your emotions being okay, your performance of being happy, when actually the reality is right there on the backdrop. That's what it's always been. But it's this way round now. The performative aspect of this has gone. You no longer feel the need to perform being okay and being fine and then falling apart in the quiet of your own, safe space, your own home, the sanctity of your home. There's something much more authentic that is bubbling to the surface. We could say on one level that you give not quite as much of a fuck as you used to about what other people think, and I think that would be a well-observed point, because we're back to this idea of staging, right? And what's the point of staging something? Well, it's a performance for the benefit of other people. We've definitely moved away from that aspect of Taurus. Even just shows of strength, because you need to be there for other people. As your boundaries have improved, you've realized that you don't need to take responsibility for other people, or at least I hope you have, because it's certainly getting there. There might be shades of it here and there, and you just need to remind yourself that other people's feelings are not your responsibility. Other people's hardships don't require you to come in and be a savior for them. Be there, but be there in the right way. Like I said, there's something really authentic coming to the surface here with you, Taurus. And this Queen of Cups has been putting in quite the appearance of late. I always found that really, really interesting, because I did a reading for someone a few days ago who has a Cancer ascendant, and I have my Venus in Cancer, and we were having a conversation about the fact that I have always hated my Cancer placement being in Venus, because I always felt for the longest time like it was the weak link in my natal chart. It was also the part of my chart that caused me the most grief, frankly, across my life. I can see that really, really powerfully. And similarly, this client of mine felt like her Cancer ascendant had done a lot to torpedo things for her, And this is the idea that it could be corruptible. Now, I feel like it is more corruptible than most, because it is so focused on other people. And being focused on other people, and even indeed wishing to be of service, as Cancer does, is not a bad thing. But it's almost always coming from a place where the emotional modelling has been wrong. And so it takes a lifetime to unpick the ways in which it is wrong. But one of the things that I said to her, and I truly believe this, is that although that placement makes me uncomfortable, right, the sign itself makes me uncomfortable within my natal chart, and I totally empathized with why it felt uncomfortable to her, it was starting to feel to me now, as I got older, like a superpower. It's been the seat of so much experience for me, and yes, it has been challenging, it has been painful, but I've learned so much from it. It's almost like there's a certain amount of maturity that is required to rock that energy. Otherwise, it just comes out wrong. And I'm feeling similar sort of vibes for the way that you have dealt with your herd, you have dealt with people in the past, right? It's been that unhealthy, I must please everyone all the time, I must bring all the harmony to everything, I can't possibly say anything that would disagree with someone else. I can't, unless it really, really, lost the word that I'm looking for, kind of came up against your principles, something that you really felt strongly about. For the most part, you would just let most other things go. But we have to consider the possibility that that's because it's been coming from an unhealthy place in you, Taurus. And what we've got here is you proving to be increasingly, as the months go by, hale and hearty, emotionally speaking. And we've got this same Two of Wands down here, and we've got the Knight of Pentacles that we also see here, and we've got, importantly, the Six of Cups. And it feels like that emotional model has had such a do-over that now, the realization that there is a choice available to you, that you actually get to choose what you commit to. You are not required to commit to or be responsible for everything just by virtue of the fact that you exist, because this belongs to an old version of you, right? And because there's this sense of you revisiting the child within, as I was talking about before, you're retraining the child. That's what's going on here. You're retraining your child. You're allowing it to come out and experience life anew. But in the process, what you're also doing is you're lifting the burdens off the child that the child was kind of staggering under the weight over. Being like, oh, hey, Taurus child, did you know that it's actually okay for you to just chip about and be a kid? Why don't you explore? Explore your environment, explore your surroundings, explore yourself. When you start exploring to see what you might be capable of, this is a really powerful thing that you're doing right now. Bit by bit, as you're taking the burden away from the child and saying, no, go play, go do your thing. Not only are you making you more mature, more responsible in your adult version, but the childlike bit of you that absolutely holds all of the creativity and the passion and the excitement for life is coming up to the surface. It's being allowed to do its thing. And the effect of that is that you don't feel like you need to put in a performance for anybody anymore. You don't have to pretend to be okay, because you're actually more okay than you've ever been in your life. You don't have to worry about what other people think, because for the first time in your life, it feels to me like you don't really give a fuck about what other people think. You feel like you've tapped into the ability to be able to be kind to you. First and foremost, necessary thing, you first. There's no point in being compassionate and empathetic and wonderful and forgiving to everybody else in the world if they're all acting like, spoiled children, and you've just been giving from the heart over and over again and expecting a different result. Now it's like, no, I actually value myself, I value my time, I value where my attention goes, and so I'm going to be putting some effort into that. But just like we see in the Ace of Cups, when the cup runneth over, when you have more to give than you need, than you need to hold on to for yourself, then that can be expressed in a really healthy, beautiful, helpful way. One that doesn't cost you in the way that it has done before, and one that doesn't seek to, potentially in some cases, deny others the agency of doing their own growth, their own work. Because Taurus is pretty bad for that, like trying to be everybody's safety net at all times. And sometimes the safety net needs to be pulled away. Now, you've been doing that to yourself because you've realised any kind of external notion of a safety net is not one that is relevant to you anymore. It's becoming obsolete. And it's pulling you wholesale out of this energy and towards this energy. You can do so much more, you can give so much more when you are in this amazing relationship with yourself, where you actually care about yourself enough to be able to draw lines and say, this is a boundary, you can't come over this. I'll help you over there, as and when I have the time and emotional energy to do so. But It's really interesting. Out of all of the cards on the table, this one seems to me to be the most important one. And more specifically, this. You know, I mean, this often can be a show of stability right there. And, you know, that's it, a show of stability. And then that can correspondingly be instability that is coming along. And where that would have sent you into somewhat of a, I don't know, paroxysms of terror at some point, it feels okay. It feels gentle. It doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't feel threatening. It feels exciting. There's a big change in perception that's gone on here, Taurus. And I think at this point, I'll tell you about the meditation, because I feel like it's going to relate quite well to what we've got going on here, but also to previous readings that I've done for you in the last few months. We've been rolling around this idea of you moving forwards without a map, right? Not knowing where you are going. And what I saw was very simple, but very, very distinct. You know, and it was a star. It was a small star, and it just appeared here. And that star faded out, and then another one appeared over here. And then after a few seconds, that one faded out, and then another one appeared over there. And the meaning for me was very, very clear. Working without a map still applies. This is where you are now. You are moving through territory that is unknown to you. You're in the spirit of exploration, in the spirit of discovery. You're moving essentially a little blind at the moment, except that you're not blind, because you're engaging with the world in a way that you haven't done before, right? A way that you haven't allowed yourself to do in your adult life. It's now coming to the fore. But it's the trust and the faith in the idea of the star and what the star represents. It is your future, but it is your hopes and goals and dreams and aspirations, and how you want to bring them to life, and how they will guide you moving forwards. You know, we're coming out of a time where concrete evidence for things is going to be the established way that we move forwards. I always talked about, you know, Saturn moving into Pisces and Pluto moving into Aquarius. We're leaving behind Capricorn notions of, you know, steps forwards, being planned out. This is where we're going, this is what we're doing, you know, and Taurian in some ways, right? Knowing exactly what the next step is before you proceed any further. Working out where you are going. Maybe it's even having that end goal and then retro engineering the steps that you're going to need to take to get there. You know, we're moving into a period of time where it seems to me the only way that you're going to really be able to move forwards at all in the chaos, and the chaos is coming, let me assure you, the chaos is coming, is to be able to trust that little star, that internal star. In some ways, you're actually embodying the energy of the hermit with this, because if any of you have ever seen on the hermit card, there's actually a little star in his lantern. Now, if the hermit is the internal journey, and he's following the star, the light of the star, as it's being, as it's illuminating his way in front of him, then you are the hermit on an internal journey using your star, going, how do I feel about this? Is this taking me towards something that feels exciting and feels good? Because the sheer fact that you allow yourself to be excited about something is a huge leap forwards from where you were 2 years ago. Massive. And we want to encourage that. We want to have more of that. But we want also for this increasing confidence that I'm feeling about the way that you feel moving forwards on intuition. You know, when you get a gut feeling, or where you have, a funny idea that you just have worked out how something's gone down, trusting that. Not gaslighting yourself and telling yourself that you should, you're probably making it up and it's probably your imagination, and why would anybody do a thing like that, or why wouldn't they do the thing? However it goes with you. This sense that at all times you can trust that star to keep moving you forwards. Internal self-belief, internal trust, faith. It's like, fuck what's going on for the consumption of other people. Like, you could not be less interested in that at the moment, Taurus. Like, that time has been and gone. That belongs to a past version of you that actually is... I don't feel like you have any interest in resurrecting that past version of you, because you're having far too much fun being you at the moment. So when we come to what you've got going on with you in February, we've got this Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Ace of Pentacles can be a new opportunity that comes along. Usually it's an opportunity to improve your material circumstances in some way, right? So it wouldn't be somebody giving you, I don't know, £10,000 or anything like that, necessarily. It'd be about a way for you to tap into the potential that would lead to you getting that £10,000. So, I don't know, like getting a promotion at work, or getting a new job, or even like downsizing your house and freeing up some capital that way. These are all kind of indicated by the Ace of Pentacles in its most flat interpretation. But for me, because the Pentacles are energetic currency, what you've got here is an opportunity to invest. You've got a new point of attention beginning to form. And here you can pour your energy, your commitment, all sorts of things into this, and expanding this and making this be more than just potential. It's quite interesting how we've got the Two of Pentacles here, because obviously potential is one thing, but if you don't do anything with it, if you don't pluck it from where it is, it's going to stay forever just this mass of potential. It's going to do nothing. We've got almost this idea of you kind of stepping backwards. So you've been there for the longest time, performing, being fine, performing, doing what you thought was right, and learning some pretty difficult experiences along the way, some difficult lessons along the way. And you've gone, nah, this is no good. I need to go back. I need to kind of jumble things up a little bit. I need to step backwards, back into the energy of the Ace of Pentacles. And with all of the new information that I have now, with the new mindset I have, with the new self-belief that I have in my own potential, I'm going to apply this to this. I want to start doing something really quite awesome with it. Now, it's quite interesting that we've got both the fastest and the slowest knights in the deck coming here to meet in the middle. It actually seems to me like the Knight of Swords is rushing to the Knight of Pentacles to see what it is, this cool pentacle thing that it's got right here, right? It's got the Ace of Pentacles in its hand. This could be, quite honestly, this could be some really, really interesting conversations that you have this month with people who come to find you. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, but it is Earth, and so it could well be representing you. But it could be, as you begin to exploit this Ace of Pentacles, right? And I mean that in the nicest way. Not exploiting it in a dreadful way, but beginning to flesh out what kind of potential the Ace of Pentacles could hold for you, and how you would begin to work with it. Because you already know how valuable it is, right? You're coming back to it. But now you're beginning to work with it. And this seems to me like it has people possibly coming towards you with some really good ideas, right? We could be talking about potential collaborations on things, or we could be just talking about helpful people who just show up where they are. Yeah, we've got Virgo and Gemini respectively. But there's the definite meeting here, and it feels like something's coming towards you. Now I want to just pull another couple of cards here for this one. Right, tell me about these two knights, please. We've got the Ace of Pentacles again. Okay. Oh, goodness me. We have the Ace of Wands too. Right. This is very solid Ace energy. Yeah. I fucking called it. This is very solid Ace energy, because the other aces, the other two aces, so the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Cups, are somewhat ephemeral, I feel. They're actually quite difficult to pin down, either by you know, in the way that you can demonstrate to other people that they have arrived. You know, the Ace of Swords is the truth, and sometimes that truth can hit you like a truck when it's a big epiphany about things. But other times it's, and particularly because for you it seems to be these series of small epiphanies that are happening. You know, they might feel big to you, but if you try to explain them to somebody else, they'd be like, yeah, well, I guess that's a thing. That is a thing. But you're like, the reason why it's changing everything for you is because it's correcting a thought pattern that was somewhat wonky before, right? And the other person that you're explaining to might not necessarily have that thought pattern that needs correcting. But what we've got here, we've got double Ace of Pentacles, right? We're really doubling down on the message of the Ace of Pentacles, and certainly even the, you know, the kind of stepping back, stripping things down to their component parts, and going, right, well, here are all the parts that I've got, and it turns out I've got parts to make an infinite number of things. Or what will I create now? What am I going to create now? The Ace of Wands, because it's about living and experience, but it's also about doing, is the potential to start doing something really quite dramatic with this Ace of Pentacles now. Right? Whenever the Ace of Wands appears, it's now. It's not delayed gratification. It's not putting plans in place for us to do something a year hence. It is now. And I feel like you've got people rushing in who want to be a part of this with you. Now, it could be that these are people that you already know. That's possible. But I did feel right at the outset of the reading that we had some new people coming into to meet you where you are. I said that right at the beginning of the reading. And we've got it here. You know, it could be that this isn't necessarily a ton of people all galloping towards Taurus, wanting to be part of their new project. It could just be really, really information, really useful information that comes via other people. You know, putting the feelers out and people going, oh, well, actually, there's a useful thing that you might need to know. Or maybe you should talk to this person that I happen to know. I'll put you in touch with them, right? There's a networking vibe kind of going on here. But there's a real uptick in the level of energy that is expended by you during February to get something off the ground. I mean, this card here, to me, often speaks about creating a business, right? We've got an opportunity for you to make some money, and then we've got, you know, the drive to actually get this going, right? Make this part of your life. And interestingly enough, for me, the King of Wands is the solo entrepreneur. King of Pentacles, which is your card, would be more like the CEO. This is somebody who's, you know, sitting on the board and got a ton of people who are working for them. That's much more Taurus energy. But this is innovation. And interestingly enough, I mean, we're in Aquarius season for most of February, and Aquarius really values innovation. We've got all planets going direct for 3 months, and so, you know, we're very much, this is the first month that we have where we can start doing all these things. This is a new idea, a new creative project, perhaps a new business idea. But it feels to me like it's something that's going to escalate very quickly. Now, in the past, that might have freaked you out a little bit, but because you are so attentive to it, I don't think it will. I mean, it could be for some of you that it's about, you know, deciding that you're going to move house and doing that, looking for it, maybe snagging the house that you're looking for. But the way that the Three of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords is coming in here, it feels much more like a personal project. You know, I said right at the beginning that your creativity was starting to flow. Like, I feel like your creativity is starting to find its way out of the box that you've put it in for such a long time. And this is absolutely down to the Taurian inner child that's having a chance to, I don't know, mentally kick a football around. Instead of being told that it has to sit there and achieve things, it's just like, well, I'm just going to do something for the sake of doing the thing. And it seems to be putting you in a position where you can harness this moving forwards. I mean, the ideal state is the, like I was saying before, right, with the adult and responsible and courageous and all that sort of thing, like Taurian adult, and then the child that's just running around and screaming, just being like, and just being a kid. just allowed to be a kid, is the point where they come together, where the child brings to the adult this thing that they found. What's this? And the adult goes, I don't know. Let's investigate this, because this is really interesting. I haven't come across this before. You know, the child is the bit that is creative, that is full of wonder, and it's bringing things to you, metaphorically speaking. As the adult, you get to pull this apart and process it and try and work out what it is, and then work on making it bigger, expanding it, initiating it in the first place. February is an incredibly powerful month for you for getting things done, but I think innovation is the order of the day here. Innovation with people, new people, I think, maybe some that are already around, and they're rushing into you. This is a lot of people who are, there's a lot of people. This is people who are interested in what you have managed to come up with, because it is original. Now, you have to take this as it resonates to you, because I don't imagine for a second that, I don't know, 27,000 Tauruses are all going to start a business at the same time. Oh, you might. You actually might, but I don't think that that's the case. But it could be something other than that. I mean, for some of you who might be, I don't know, musicians or something, you might decide to start a band. You know, maybe if you're a writer and you want to write more and you want to spend time around people who are writing, maybe you form some sort of writing circle. Maybe you get yourself an accountability partner. You know, somebody who can really help you with something. But this is the spirit of innovation, and it's coming in really fast. It's developing really fast. Feels like you are hitting the ground running with this, and I do think it's absolutely about you and your inner Taurian child, absolutely, you know, pulling your weight in the ways that you're both supposed to do it. Creative flow from the child, wonder, spirit of discovery, and then adult you going, oh, I can do something with this. I'm going to get into it in the Vimeo, but this feels like calling, kind of. There's a calling here. Everything's suddenly been set up exactly as it needed to be, for you to be where you needed to be, when you needed to be there, and it's just sort of happening, you know. So I would keep an eye out for collaborations that might be possible this month. I would keep an eye out for people who are as excited about what you are excited about as you are. And start finding a way of doing what you do very best and bringing people together, Taurus. Right, I've been prattling on for quite long enough, so I'm going to go now. I just had a horror that suddenly I wasn't recording, but I am. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to go over to Vimeo. If you would like to join me over there, you're very, very welcome. We're gonna really dig into these nines. These, I was looking at the Nine of Cups. Dig into these aces, because these feel very important to me at all. These feel very important to me. Full stop. Oh, proper falling over my words today. I hope that you managed to extricate something that was useful here for you today, Taurus, and my stumbling over my words didn't interrupt the flow too much. But this is really good. This is a very, very strong month for you, and capitalise on it where you can, I think. Just follow the stars. Feel your way through. Feel what feels right, and go that way. All right. I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much. And now I'll see you soon.